Because the other 50% is very big.
Is that it?
If you're a shareholder, you don't worry about whether you're getting 50%. You worry about what you're getting. You see, that's a British problem. I call it the fixed pie problem. It's got to be terrible if I'm getting 50%. 50% of what? I'll give you 50%. I'll give you 75% of Lehman Brothers profits. How's that? In return for 50% of Goldman Sachs's. Would that make you happy? I mean, the point is they make a huge amount of money, and this return to shareholders was satisfactory enough to get Warren Buffett to make a deal to pick up 15% of the company. So I think, and besides, that was when you bought in, that was in the prospectus. They're going to keep 50% to divide because they were trying to, they were giving up the partnership because they wanted to have more capital, but they didn't want to give up the incentive that the partnership created. So they created this kind of bastard structure, which works very well most of the time.
Supplementary, it said that one of the justifications for hedge funds is that there are more assertive shareholders in companies.
Right.
And do you think there's something in that?
Yes, there's a lot of, anything that has the people whose money is at risk making the decisions is an improvement. There's no question about that. That's why I would like to see the lazy institutional investors who refuse to get involved in corporate governance do something about it. So yes, hedge funds do have that advantage. Would they have taken this? Yes. Yes, I think there's two things about Goldman Sachs. Yes, yes. The answer is yes, because again, this may be because I've become theoretically slovenly in practicing economics. There is a risk culture in Goldman Sachs. It is pervasive. It is a kind of macho risk culture that existed as a partnership, is unchanged in the current environment, and that's why they are stunned at people's revulsion at their profit levels, because they feel nobody understands the risks they take. They risk their own capital, and they risk, I think they throw their bodies into the fray. I mean, have you ever met a 50-year-old Goldman Sachs person? I haven't. They're done at 45. They're finished. So I think they have a very special situation. Well, I don't know. I've always had a problem with intergenerational obligations. Of course, when we talk about inflation, for instance, we talk about handling intergenerational distribution that way. I just try to figure out which way it cuts. For example, let's say we do inflation and we pass along our bills. To whom? To the kids whose college we paid for? That doesn't bother me a lot. The hunt for intergenerational equity is a very difficult hunt. I don't think only the government, for instance, well, can I finish on this note? I'm in favor of very high inheritance taxes. Well, you invited me. You won't be invited. But you read this before. You knew this about me. I have no secrets. So I don't know how to handle that. I don't think only government can handle intergenerational obligations. I think private bargains, apparently more satisfactory than the one in Cumbria, can handle intergenerational problems. But I think inevitably government policy, macroeconomic policy, affects intergenerational equity matters. It's just that I've never known, I can't figure out which way it cuts. I just can't. Government should invest in things in which the social return exceeds the cost of capital. Now, I won't go into how you compute that. It's doable. But I always like to start from where we are, okay? Countries like Britain and America have infrastructure. There it is. Forget about whether it should have been built. Forget about whether the government should have. There it is. The question is adding increments to the infrastructure we now have. And there, I think, is the role for the private sector. I don't see any reason at all why you shouldn't have toll roads when you also have the free option. It's not as if you're saying to poor people, you must use a toll road. You can use a toll road if you're in a hurry. And if you're not in a hurry, or as an economist would say it more cruelly, if the value of your time is less than mine, you can use public transport. My feeling is that right now, and I don't know about Africa or, you know, the underdeveloped countries, but in countries, advanced economies, I would prefer to see infrastructure rolled out by the private sector so the users have to pay for it, because otherwise there's no limit. There's no limit to what a government will do. I mean, there's a limit now because you're broke, but, and probably if you borrow a lot more, you're going to have a lot of trouble. But under ordinary circumstances, I think right now we can say no more of this for the government, maybe a few exceptions, but basically you want more roads, that's fine, let the private sector build them. You want better trains, that's fine, let the private sector invest in them. That's hard to do in this culture, which is used to looking to the government for those things, but I think that's the way you have to go.